Welcome, everyone, to the one place where the drive to create aligns perfectly with the goal of success. I'm Ignacio Ayago, CEO of Whale Analytics, and if you're watching this video, it's because you want to know how OrionONE can help you enhance your trading strategies and optimize your results. So let's get started. But before we dive in, I want to share some valuable insights with you, information that will help you make informed, objective decisions. Why? Because we're living in the midst of an artificial intelligence boom, where it seems like any model is labeled as AI, and any AI is claimed to be capable of everything. Nothing could be further from the truth. Most of the tools we see online for market analysis or data analysis are simply connected to APIs like OpenAI's or Gemini's. AIs that are highly versatile but certainly not designed for quantitative analysis, for processing large volumes of data, or for navigating highly speculative financial markets, where a superior level of specialization and precision is required. To illustrate this point, let me show you something. I have Apple's stock chart open here, specifically from October 2024. Toward the end of the month, we see two daily candles for October 18th and 21st. October 19th and 20th were Saturday and Sunday, so the market was closed. Now, I'm going to open the advanced voice-enabled ChatGPT model and ask it what happened on October 19th, which was a Saturday. Let's see how it responds. I'd like to know what happened with Apple stock on October 19th, 2024.
On October 19, 2024, Apple's stock reached an all-time high of $237.49 according to Forbes. This indicates that the stock was in an upward trend during that period. If you need more details or additional information, let me know.
But October 19th, 2024 was a Saturday.
Exactly. October 19, 2024 fell on a Saturday. Is there something specific about that day you'd like to know or discuss?
So, Apple's stock didn't trade that day because the market was closed?
Correct. Since it was a Saturday, the stock market was closed, and Apple's stock didn't trade that day. If you'd like information about the last trading day before or after, I can help with that.
Then, why did you give me a price and a variation for October 19th, 2024?
I apologize for the confusion. If I provided a price and variation for that day, it must have been an error. Since it was a Saturday, there were no market movements. Thank you for pointing that out, and I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. If you need data for another day or anything else, I'm here to help.
I see. So, you're not the best AI model for quantitative data analysis, especially in highly speculative markets like financial markets.
Exactly. My approach is more generalist, and I'm not specifically designed to excel in quantitative analysis of speculative financial markets. However, I can provide a broad perspective, assist with general analyses, and serve as a complement to your process. For highly specialized analyses, it's better to rely on tools and models specifically designed for that purpose.
Okay, then tell me, which artificial intelligence models are suitable for analyzing millions of data points, complex data like those in financial markets, performing price projections, exhaustive analysis, learning, and so on?
For analyzing large volumes of data and price projections in financial markets, the most suitable models are typically deep neural networks, deep learning models such as recurrent neural networks, RNN, and convolutional neural networks, CNN, which are useful for detecting complex and sequential patterns in financial data. Transformers, models like transformers, for example, BERT, adapted for time series, can capture complex long-term relationships and have proven effective in predicting time series and sequential data. Long short-term memory, LSTM neural networks are ideal
Okay,
for.
that works for me. So we could conclude that natural language models like those from OpenAI, Gemini, DeepSeek, and so on are not the right or most suitable tools for analyzing financial data and markets.
Correct. Natural language models like those from OpenAI, Gemini, or DeepSeek are optimized for natural language processing and are not the most suitable for quantitative financial data analysis.
All right, understood. Thank you very much for everything.
You're welcome. If you need anything else, I'm here.
It's absolutely essential for all of us to understand just how suggestible these types of models can be, and the significant degree of subjectivity they incorporate when used for tasks like data analysis, financial markets, and so on. Unfortunately, many products that claim to analyze financial markets using AI rely on APIs connected to these types of models, whether it's OpenAI, Gemini, or others. As a result, the product they offer is often misleading or exaggerated, which, sadly, accounts for 99% of the products available online. Now, this is where the real knowledge begins. Let's dive into OrionONE, explore what it offers, and examine it in detail. We'll look at the kinds of practices we can perform with it and how we can incorporate it into our daily trading operations. I'm going to try to address all the questions a user might have when starting with OrionONE, or when considering whether OrionONE is right for them and aligns with their workflow and interests. So, if there's any question or doubt I don't cover here, feel free to leave it in the comments below and we'll respond to it. If there are too many, we'll group them together and create a new video. Now, question number 1, or a doubt I think a user might have, or one we've already encountered with other users, is: what do I need to install and run OrionONE on my computer at home? Well, let me make it very simple for you. OrionONE doesn't run on your home computer. It runs on Whale Analytics custom servers. Why? It's quite simple. There isn't a highly advanced artificial intelligence specifically designed for analyzing complex data that can run on a home PC, no matter how good that PC might be. In other words, specific hardware specifications are required to run artificial intelligence. This means we need to rely on professional machines with high performance and specialized technical specifications for AI. So, any program claiming it can run on your computer or mobile device using this type of AI model is completely fake and will most likely be connected to APIs, as we've already seen. It's true that there are some very basic or simple language models that can run on a home computer, but we're not talking about highly advanced and specialized models for data analysis here. Those are entirely different things. That said, you can run it on your home computer, your mobile phone, or even your tablet. Why? Because it has a responsive design. This means it adapts to different types of devices. You can walk down the street with your phone requesting analyses, sit on your couch at home with your tablet doing the same, or use your home computer with your trading setup to request analyses. All you need is internet access and a browser, nothing more. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at how OrionONE works. We can see that it's essentially made up of 3 modules. The left panel, where we have the analysis section with all the analyses. The central panel, or what we could call the command center, where we can view all the KPIs. And the right panel, the right module, where we have a scanner showing the top 5 markets of the week and the OrionONE Artificial Intelligence Assistant. So let's take a closer look at this. As I mentioned, this is a review of the tool. We'll later do an in-depth analysis of each KPI, along with several tutorial videos and practical case studies to apply it to your trading strategies, and so on. But I'll give you a preview now, as you'll see for yourselves, that it's suitable and adaptable for any type of trading, whether it's scalping, day trading, swing trading, position trading. Why? Because you're about to see it in action. For example, I would input a market here, let's say KO, which is Coca-Cola. We always enter the ISIN, or the market identification code, as you would find it on platforms like Yahoo Finance, TradingView, etc. In other words, I don't type Coca-Cola, but rather KO, which is the ISIN. I click on Analyze, and it runs. We can already see Analysis started successfully. Now, I'll cut here and show you the result. The analysis takes about 2 minutes, roughly 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And here it is, analysis complete. Take a look at the center of the dashboard with the KPIs. If I switch to another market, for example, Nvidia, you'll see the KPIs change. When I go back to Coca-Cola, they change again. Why? It's very simple. OrionONE always shows the information and analysis for the market you have selected. If I have Coca-Cola selected, it shows Coca-Cola. If I switch to Apple, it will show Apple. So now, the first step, how do I access this analysis? Well, I have 2 options. 1, through the Expand button above the image, or through the View Image button. I simply click, and it takes me to the image. I can zoom in and move around the image as needed. One of the most interesting aspects of the analysis, which, as I mentioned, we'll discuss in greater detail in another video, is, for example, the 365-day market prediction. In this case, we see Apple's prediction, along with a reliability bar at the top. It starts with a reliability of 76.8%, then drops to 57.6%, and finally ends at 38.4%, which is already a negative expected value. What does this mean? It means that this isn't about running an analysis and relying on it for the entire year. You can request analyses every day, as many times as you want. In fact, there's already a KPI within the panel itself that recommends when to request the next analysis. Depending on the market, for example, it might suggest that for Apple, you should request another analysis in 2 days on a specific date, or in 2 weeks on another specific date. The AI itself, based on the market's behavior, variability, and predictability, will recommend when to perform a new analysis to update the data. This ensures you're always as up-to-date as possible. It prevents you from requesting an analysis every day if it's unnecessary, but also avoids waiting an entire month if the market is highly volatile. This gives you a clear idea of how it works. At the top, in the central section, we also see a very important feature: the recession indicator, which calculates the probability of a recession over the next 12 months. This is an indicator that was able to predict events like the onset of COVID or the tariffs imposed by Donald Trump. Among others, these are events we often think of as purely random and difficult to foresee, but the economy doesn't work that way. Everything is programmed. Now, I'm not going to dive into conspiracy theories here because this isn't the video for that, but this indicator exists, and it works. In fact, the U.S. Federal Reserve has a very similar indicator. We've updated and enhanced ours with artificial intelligence, but these are the same types of indicators central banks use to make decisions, such as whether to raise or lower interest rates. They analyze how such changes will affect the economy in the long term, and what kinds of situations they might provoke or avoid. This isn't a 50-50 indicator. It's 100% reliable and projects 12 months into the future. Here, in the red section, you can see the forecast for the next 12 months. I can show it to you without any issue. For example, we can already see a slight uptick in recession probability heading into the summer of 2025. This suggests that we'll likely experience a downturn this summer, followed by a gradual recovery. By late 2025 and early 2026, things should start to stabilize. I can show you this live without hesitation, because this is how it works. We've been using this indicator and others like it for over 12 years, and we have no problem sharing it or taking a stand on its predictions. These are professional calculations approved by the global consensus of economists. Everything we do here at Whale Analytics is always guided by professional standards and criteria. Our goal is to simplify things and make decision-making as easy as possible for you, but always in a professional and objective manner. Well, in this analysis, we can see that there's much more to explore. I won't go into too much detail here because I'll make a specific video about it. I just wanted to highlight a couple of key points. 2 very important pieces of information. Being able to understand the projection of a market over 12 months or 365 days is essential whether we're doing scalping, day trading, swing trading, or position trading. And above all, knowing which economic cycle we're in, like in this case, where we're in a contraction mid-phase, is crucial to identifying the best sectors, companies, or markets, and understanding what the economy has in store for us. This is fundamental for anyone looking to trade in any market, whether it's Forex, stocks, cryptocurrencies, commodities, futures, or others. It's the ABC of investing, and we're bringing it to you here with just a simple step. Enter the name of the market and click Analyze. Now, back to OrionONE. Let's move to the central section, the KPI panel. Here we have a drop-down menu with pre-designed panels, such as the one for stocks. In this panel, we can see KPIs that we've already pre-configured, so that if you're just starting out, you'll know which KPIs are best for each type of market. For example, here we can see the phases of the economic cycle we're currently in. Mid-contraction. We can also see the performance of various sectors, identifying which ones are performing better or worse in this type of economic cycle. OrionONE automatically identifies the economic cycle and the phase we're in. In this case, contraction. It cross-references this with all the official historical contraction phases in stock market history, analyzing over 200 macroeconomic indicators to assess the variability between them. From this, it determines the reliability percentage of being in a contraction phase. And in this case, it gives a 100% probability distribution. OrionONE learns from past economic cycles, growth, overheating, contractions, intermediate phases, and analyzes everything that has officially occurred. It pulls in macroeconomic indicators as they're released, such as building permits, unemployment rates, Michigan consumer confidence, and so on. It processes all this data and compares it to previous cycles to determine the current phase. Based on this, it identifies which sectors are performing better and which are performing worse, allowing us to project a company's performance. For example, we have a KPI here labeled Economic Projection, which provides a projection of the company within the current economic cycle. This is different from the company's projection based solely on its own results. A company might have excellent results and project consistent growth, but if the economy is heading into turbulence or a recession, that growth could slow down or even turn negative, as we've seen happen with tariffs. This adjustment is precisely what OrionONE provides, giving us that extra edge then. For example, we also have the Forex panel. Here, the focus is on analyzing the differential between the market and the economy. For instance, comparing the economic projection versus the market projection. To clarify, the economic projection refers to how the market performs within the broader economic context, while the market projection focuses solely on the market's own performance based on its returns. Imagine you want to trade Bitcoin. Bitcoin might show a very promising projection, but it could be coming from an economic cycle that diminishes its performance or even turns it negative. With OrionONE, you'll be able to see this clearly. The system even provides signals or scenarios, including win rates for buying and selling, along with take profit and stop loss levels. For cryptocurrencies, we have a different set of KPIs, and there are also dedicated panels for sectors and commodities. These are pre-configured dashboards that you can access directly from the drop-down menu. However, if you prefer, you can use the custom model, which is the first option, to create up to 5 personalized panels. For example, you could create one for scalping, another for scalping Bitcoin, a third for day trading the euro-dollar pair, and another for medium-term swing trading in stocks. This way, you can have a dedicated panel for each strategy without needing to constantly switch settings. Creating a custom panel is very simple. First, select the Custom Panel option and click on Edit Dashboard. Once inside, you'll see the dashboard you've created. At the top left, there's a button labeled Add KPI. Clicking on it allows you to choose from up to 50 KPIs, and we add new ones every month. Our goal is to make interpreting any market as straightforward as possible, based on what OrionONE learns and the data it extracts. Whenever there's something new or a KPI that could provide a statistical edge to improve your trading, we include it. For example, if a new KPI is introduced tomorrow that increases success rates by 2%, we'll add it. If your win rate was 68%, this new KPI could raise it to 70%. It's important to note that 100% accuracy doesn't exist. These aren't miracle tools. They're statistical tools powered by artificial intelligence to simplify analyses that would take a team of analysts a month to complete in just 2 minutes. The goal is to enhance your decision-making process. We're not promising the Holy Grail. For instance, in the Apple analysis, the projection showed a 78.6% reliability. It doesn't claim 100% accuracy. It simply indicates that the projection is 78.6% likely to align with Apple's actual performance. All right, here we have all the KPIs. If we scroll down, we can see the ones already added highlighted in blue, while the rest are the ones we can still add. For example, I'm going to add one more, so I scroll down and take a look at what it tells me. It's already showing me blue for the ones I've already added, peach or tomato red for the ones that don't fit, and at the top, the ones that can still be added. Once I've set up the panel the way I want, I simply click Save, and the KPI will be here. We can even create a grid of 48, that is 8 by 8, which means we'll be able to fit everything we want in here. I recommend starting with the templates we already have pre-configured. Don't overcomplicate things and take it step by step. We have KPIs for everything, like the ones you see here. For example, the Market Projection KPI, which shows us Apple's current price as well as its price projections for 30 days, 90 days, and 365 days. It also shows us the profitability percentage we can expect, along with volatility analysis, crossovers, momentum, recession risk, everything we need to see in detail. For example, it also provides operational levels, including the current price, take profit, stop loss, and the risk-reward ratio for this type of operation. Essentially, it gives us everything, and all of it is calculated and backed by statistics. Let me open the analysis for you. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll notice these types of legends. Everything is presented as a percentage, and every calculation follows a specific model because we always validate the data we use. In other words, we're not here to promise 100% certainty. We'll show you what's there. If a market has something to offer, we'll show it to you. If it doesn't, we'll also let you know. If a particular indicator works well for a market, we'll highlight it, and if it doesn't, we'll make that clear too. Our goal is simply to reveal the reality of the market. If there's an opportunity, we'll show it to you, and if there isn't, we won't pretend there is. This isn't about always having something to do or trade. It's about showing you the best opportunities available. To achieve this, we extract statistics for everything. We calculate quadratic errors, deviation errors, and so on to determine the real statistics for each KPI and each signal. What are these KPIs based on? These KPIs are nothing more than the interpretation of the analysis. For instance, I could take this market, perform a technical analysis, interpret the indicators, and so on. But if, out of everything the analysis shows me, there are 3, 4, or 5 key elements that I use to trade, I don't need to analyze everything. Instead, I can go straight to the KP. It's derived from the analysis, focusing on those 3 or 4 checks that I use to validate my trades, manage them, or decide when to exit. In essence, KPIs are a way to simplify the analysis. If I'm only interested in tracking a crossover of the net brute indicator, which is the net and gross price indicator, we'll explore it in more detail later, I can simply add the net brute oscillator metrics, KPI. This way, I don't need to analyze the entire indicator. For example, in this case, the net brute oscillator is located in the middle section of the analysis. If I'm only interested in the final state and the actionable insights, I can extract the KPI and have it simplified. The net brute oscillator metrics, KPI, for this market will tell me exactly what's happening. For instance, it might indicate follow bullish crossovers, historical efficiency, 27.7% of trades. This data changes with each market I analyze. For example, in the case of NVIDIA, the win rate for bullish crossovers is 57.1%. What does this mean? It means that if I trade all the bullish crossovers for NVIDIA, I'll achieve a positive mathematical expectation, which will translate into profits for my account. Well, with that explanation of the KPIs out of the way, let's move on to the right-hand section so this doesn't get too long. As I mentioned, I'll create a detailed video explaining everything, but in the meantime, feel free to leave any questions below. Here, we have the top markets of the week. These aren't just for stocks. We also include Forex, cryptocurrencies, sectors, and commodities. I can click on any of these categories, and it will show me the top 5 for the week. What do we do here? We analyze over 1,000 stocks, more than 300 cryptocurrencies, and so on. Then, we apply a filter, a market scanner, so to speak, that evaluates more than 250 criteria. These include factors like accumulation, capital inflows, current patterns, not chart patterns, but structural price patterns, seasonality, and more. The artificial intelligence learns from each of these markets, identifies their efficiency, projects them into the future, and pinpoints opportunities. The 5 markets that meet the highest number of these 250 criteria, the ones with the best success ratios for the week, are displayed here. This list is updated daily, so what you see on Monday might not be the same as what you see on Friday. However, there's usually little variation, because the criteria are so extensive that the markets shown here as the week's top opportunities are generally well established and objectively selected. For example, the 3rd market might move up to 2nd place, or the 2nd might drop to 3rd, but it's rare for one to disappear entirely. If a new opportunity arises, it will be added and displayed here. Now, let's move on to an important feature, the OrionONE Assistant, which you'll find by scrolling up. This is your personal assistant, available 24/7. What's its purpose? It's directly connected to OrionONE's knowledge base and the analysis database. For example, if I'm analyzing Coca-Cola and click on it, the assistant immediately connects to Coca-Cola's analysis data and OrionONE's knowledge base. What does this mean? It means I can ask it anything. Well, not anything. I can't ask it for the best recipe for a Spanish omelet, because it'll tell me that it doesn't handle those kinds of questions. It's an assistant designed to help you navigate and move around within the OrionONE dashboard. But for example, I could ask it what the market projection KPI indicates. This is the KPI we have here on the screen. And then I hit send. It takes the question, processes it, and gives me an answer. Notice that it's this KPI I have here in the central section, and it's explaining it to me right here. It's telling me that the market projection KPI provides an estimate. Let me check. It provides an estimate of where the price of the asset is expected to head in the future, based on the current real-time market analysis. According to the report, the market projection values for Coca-Cola are as follows. In the short term, over 30 days, the projection is 73.36, which represents a 2.1% variation. If we check the KPI here, the data matches perfectly. It also provides us with the medium and long-term projections. And then it tells us. In summary, let me read it to you. The market projection KPI suggests that the price of Coca-Cola's asset is expected to rise in the coming months, with more significant growth in the long term than in the short term. Taking this information into account and based on the technical manual, it provides you with some suggestions for decision-making. Keep in mind that this response does not constitute investment advice. Here's the general overview. Given the bullish projection across all time frames, you might consider strategies that take advantage of an increase in the asset's price. It also provides recommendations or suggestions regarding the investment horizon, risk management strategies, and highlights the importance of confirming the analysis with other indicators, which could be an interesting follow-up question to explore. If I don't want to read so much, I can check the shortened response option here, and the answers will be more concise. And now, I could interact here and ask, according to the recession KPI, would it be a good idea or not? Based on the economic cycle KPI and the sectors currently benefiting or not, would Coca-Cola be a better option, or would another alternative be preferable? I can continue interacting with it, and it will answer everything. In other words, there's literally nothing within the panel, or anything you can do with it, that the assistant won't help resolve or guide you through. What does this mean? It means the learning curve is minimal because, as you can see, the panel is straightforward. And for any knowledge required to interpret certain economic concepts within the tool, since we use professional terminology, it's also minimal because we make everything highly visual. Plus, you have this assistant available 24/7 to help you progress at your own pace. If there's something you don't understand, you can simply say, "I don't get it. Explain it to me in another way," or "Simplify the explanation for me." It will break everything down for you. And the more you use it, the more you'll learn. Let me tell you, there are very few training programs out there, those costing 3,000 euros, 4,000 euros, or even 5,000 euros, that will help you progress and acquire the kind of knowledge you'll gain from using OrionONE alongside its assistant. During the beta phase, we had users testing the tool who had never entered the financial market before. They didn't even know what it was or how to open a brokerage account. Yet, after about 2 months of using OrionONE and its assistant, they reached a level above average, according to the latest studies by the Bank of Spain. It's important to understand the purpose of this tool, not just for making decisions, but also for educating yourself in financial literacy. It's designed to guide you toward better capital management. In the end, this is a very powerful tool that will allow you to go as far as you want to go. The only limit is the one you set for yourself. So, I hope you've enjoyed the tool, and I trust I've addressed most of your questions. As I mentioned, we'll see each other in upcoming videos, where we'll dive deeper into analysis, KPIs, and so on. Because our goal isn't just to hand you the tool and leave you to figure things out on your own. Instead, we always strive to provide you with the most comprehensive knowledge to help you achieve the best possible results. We also have a private community on Discord, where, once you've acquired OrionONE, you'll be in touch with other users who are already using it, as well as members of the Whale Analytics team. They'll be there to answer your questions, whether through chat rooms or live voice channels in real time. And why not? You'll also get to enjoy spending time with people who share the same interests as we do. So, I'll leave it here. A warm greeting to you all, and best of luck with your trades.